It's 9 o'clock.
Today is Saturday, February the 20th, 2010, and this is a live studio session of The Cutting Edge. Of course, this live studio session is recorded and can be played back by MP3 on your favorite MP3 player. But in the studio with us, live on Skype, we have Patrick, and very soon a couple guests will join us on Skype. So for now, we have Patrick in the studio with us, and I would like to mention one more time, this is a show called The Cutting Edge. It's our first show. We're not as prepared as we hope to be, but just hang in there, and we'll see what happens. Some of the topics may be a little strange to the average listener, but hang in there and see what you think. Let us know. You can email me at digitaladdiction@gmail.com. I'm still working on the phone system, but I should have it in full operation by next Saturday's show. So hang in there, and you should be able to call us live at 757-559-1351. You can email us again at digitaladdiction@gmail.com. And you can call us on Skype. We are working on getting another Skype name called The Cutting Edge, but I think that account is taken. So how about add the name Digital Addiction to your Skype list and call us on Skype, or message me with your name on Skype and I'll call you or add you to the call so we can do it that way. But that will work. This is our first show, so hang in there. Bear with us. It's going to get interesting. We do have a lot of topics we're going to talk about tonight. Again, Patrick is on hold here live in the studio, so hang on. We'll get to Patrick in a second, and others will follow soon. Well, Patrick, it looks like it's going to be you and me for a little bit, so, well, what do you think? Here we are, our first show. What do you think?
I'm thinking it's overdue.
Yeah, that's true. Well,
what are you interested in discussing tonight? Yeah, I was really leaning towards that survival aspect. A lot of people have no idea what to do in case of an emergency, and I think that'd be a good start.
Absolutely, it would be. And Patrick, you are ex-military, right?
Yes.
So
correct.
you know a lot about survival and how to get things done the right way, right?
Exactly.
Where would you start? What would you buy? What would you do? How would you get supplies? Or how could you make your own supplies, like do it yourself and do it well? How would you get the stuff required to stay alive if you absolutely had to do it? What would you do? Where would you start?
Well, my thought would be, first and foremost, would be food and water. But then to complement that and carry a little further, energy would be next in line. A lot of people take it for granted that our electrical supply is going to be there forever and a day, and if not, then the government or the electric company or somebody will eventually, jack it up where everybody will be able to have energy in a rapid sense of the word. But nothing could be further from the truth. A lot of people I know that are planning for the worst and expecting the worst are utilizing solar and wind power in combination with diesel or gasoline generators, which would be the optimal way to go. But there's also a lot of other technology out there that could be utilized. Excuse me. For instance, they're creating fuel cells utilizing hydrogen now. And you can use that in conjunction with a gasoline generator, which would increase your energy supply, I imagine 2 or 3 times more than what it would with just an average gasoline generator. My thought process is to basically combine all three and keep searching for some other technology that's going to outlast all three. Because without the sun, you don't have solar capabilities. If the wind picks up too fast, you don't have wind capabilities. And if it's impossible to get a hold of some kind of fuel source, you're out of luck as far as a gasoline or a diesel generator.
Right, but for the average person, where would you start? Wait, hold that thought. Hold on. Richard is now joining us on Skype. This is Richard Diaz, the author of Illness and Wealth podcast from TalkShoe, very famous on Blog Talk Radio, and I've known Richard for quite a while, I think before Skypecast died, so it's been a couple years. So, hey, Richard, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Hey, how's it going?
Okay.
Welcome to the Cutting Edge.
I started listening to it, and I thought you got a pretty interesting subject, and I thought I'd add to it.
All right, absolutely. Well, thank you for joining us. And this is, can you hear him, Patrick?
Yes, here I'm fine.
Great. Well, this is Richard. He's joining us live on the Cutting Edge tonight. You hear me okay, Richard?
I can.
Can you hear Patrick?
I can.
Sweet, absolutely. Great. I'm glad you could join us, Richard. Patrick was just answering my question about survival skills if you lost your absolute necessities, where you would get your food, your water, your power. But mainly the water I wanted to address first, because it's not like you could go to your local Walmart or Sam's Club and buy water, because that water is kind of full of chemicals. So,
in reality, no. You'd have to have an ample water supply. You take into consideration the average person uses between 6.5 to 8.5 gallons of water a day. That's for washing utensils, cleaning your body up a little bit, as well as drinking and cooking. So
right.
That's going to take a lot of cases of water in order for you to make it through even just 1 month.
Actually, I believe that if you went down to the local big box store and bought a couple of cases of water, they'd probably last you maybe a day to two, depending on how many people you have at home. And the second time you go to the big box store, the shelves would be empty.
That's true.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a known fact that the average food store only has 72 hours supply of food.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
There was a program on the History Channel not too long ago. It was called After Armageddon, and it was about a family in Los Angeles, and they went through the entire scenario of a epidemic or a pandemic, and it was quite interesting. It was within 3 to 5 days that they started to run out of everything, and the family was torn up about leaving their home and going up to Idaho, where people think in terms of survivalists, and it kind of broke up the family a little bit. But it was very interesting. It actually went through how quickly society would come apart and start to mend itself after a disaster.
Well, I don't see seeing society, especially this society, mending itself all that rapidly. I mean, let's face it, Americans have become fat, lazy, and stupid over the years. A lot of people that I've tried to talk to and getting prepared keep throwing it back in my face, well, that'll never happen here. Well, they couldn't be further from the truth.
Actually, you're 100% right. If you look at Katrina and what it did to New Orleans, it didn't take 5 days for the complete society to break down. The Hurricane Andrew in Florida, same thing.
And the sad thing
those
about
are
that whole scenario
minor
was,
disasters.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
Repeat that, Richard.
I say the disaster in Katrina in New Orleans, it took about 5 days for the complete society to come apart, and then Hurricane Andrew in Florida, it was actually less than that, and it took quite a while for it to rebuild. But those are localized small disasters. The big disaster would be a suitcase bomb in New York, or the